But I do have a question. I know you and I had discussed it at one point, Greg, about the FOIAs that had come in. There were a couple FOIAs that had come in that were responded to, and then when I became aware was when I was copied in for an appeal on the FOIAs. My understanding is that our FOIA policy requires those FOIA appeals to come before the board at the next regular board meeting. Remember we discussed it? I don't know if you
I remember we discussed it.
Yeah, and it didn't. So I was a little bit concerned and looking for a little clarity on our FOIA policy, because that was my understanding of it, that it would come before us at the next meeting, and if we're out of compliance with our own policy, so what, I guess, where are we at with that? Because that should have been before us last month.
Well, to be honest with you, I never seen anything where it said that it didn't have to come to the board. I'm not saying it doesn't. Okay. I'm just saying I never found anything that it said that it did have to. So okay. I kind of looked back through things to see, and I couldn't find anything. Maybe it does. I don't know.
Okay.
Sure. You want to maybe share the policy with the rest of the board and give them an opportunity to see it.
Yeah. Just so we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Because that was my understanding, and I know that as we're talking about the master plan, that some of the items, the way that I understood it, that were included in those FOIAs and those FOIA appeals had to do with the current master plan that we're operating under and how that had played out over time.
Yeah.
As far as kind of some of the zoning changes that took place after that master plan was approved and then when it was revised as time went on. So I'm just curious about where that's at.
Well, and that's a good segue into the master plan is a vision statement. And I think everybody needs to understand that it shows what is possible. Just because the master plan says something different doesn't mean that your property has been rezoned. I know there's some individuals that believe that that means your property is rezoned, and that's not the case. It means that if your property is residential and in the master plan it says it can be commercial, if you say I'd like to convert this to rezone this commercial, then the township really can't say no because it falls within the master plan. Whereas I think there are some people that believe that the master plan is what rezones the property. So if it's the one FOIA that I'm thinking of, some of the items that were trying to be FOIA'd were not documents, they were thoughts. And some of the other things were referenced in the master plan, and I think the individual thought, hey, why is my property being changed without my knowledge? And it's not that it's being changed, it's that as part of the vision statement for the township, it could be changed that should the property owner choose to do that.
Okay, anything else anybody got?
I just have one question.
Yes, sir.
Does anybody know anything about the tall pile of dirt along M13?
Over in Wielands property? No, I don't.
I don't know whose property it
It's
is, but
Wielands
I
property, I
know
think.
that pile of dirt
It's
seems
been
to be...
stopped, it's growing.
It's what?
It's growing. Apparently, I don't know what the scoop is, but it's growing.
Yeah.
Well, the
There's
problem
a lot
that
of
I've
activity.
noticed is there's all different colors of dirt that's went into that property, which kind of makes you
M13.
take pause.
M13 where?
M13 by
Right in the corner of Eddie Brothers.
junkyard.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But, so it is stopped. I just
It
wondered.
has stopped?
It hit, I can see it out my
I-
window.
There
It's
is
not
anything
stopped.
last
I
night.
haven't seen any activity up there.
Last Saturday, they were dumping stuff in there. But most of the dumpings happen on the weekend now.
Yep. So, I mean, is there any permit on that? Is there any site plan? I mean, there's holes being dug and filled in with whatever. I mean, there's constant activity over there.
And that front pile is, I noticed coming up the highway today, that pile is as tall as a telephone pole. And it's, I think the residents in that neighborhood that have asked me questions, and I say, you know what? I have no idea what that's all about. And I went to pull in, it says no trespassing on a pole and another no trespassing,
And that
but
says
nowhere
on
does it
surveillance.
have a digging permit.
Yep.
Or any other type, like across the road when Mr. Hugo was doing his work, he had a permit that was posted there for the dirt work that he was doing on his property.
Didn't you folks have mail-in have that contractor do some ditch work, and wasn't that where the dirt was gonna go?
I think that something was said in jest about that. I don't know that there was ever a clear plan. I think it was
Awful lot
mostly
of-
in jest. But that's more than
Oh, I thought he was cleaning ditches for the township.
At one point, there was an
Okay.
approval that was several months ago, and I think that Sam said in jest, well, I don't know, he's probably gonna turn around and resell it, but it wasn't, you know,
Yeah.
like, it wasn't a serious statement of, you know, to my
Okay.
But
knowledge.
there's a lot of material there.
There is, and considering what's happening over in Beaver Township with that, you know, that whole disaster, I think that, you know, we should have some idea of what's going on right
As
on
far
our
as I know,
main
they're not
drag.
digging a pond like Beaver Township.
Well, I'm just saying, you know, I mean, there's gotta be some kind of paperwork, there's gotta be something that's went through this office to indicate what's going on right along the
Nothing has
road.
gone through here to indicate, I mean, they're bringing the dirt in from someplace. They're not digging anything here.
Okay, so this is our township, and if they're bringing dirt in, then I think the people of the township, and certainly the residents that live in close proximity, deserve to know what is being brought in, where it's being brought in from. You have no idea where that dirt's coming from. You don't know if it's contaminated. You have absolutely no idea. And I don't think that that's really us doing our due diligence to put the people that pay the taxes here in a position where they could get ill or have other issues with their property. In addition to that, the AG just made a statement last week, made a decision weighing in about contamination of property, and that it is the property owner's responsibility, even if somebody else that previously owned it contaminated it. I don't think that's fair to put anybody in that position where we don't actually know what's going on, the people that live, you know, a stone's throw away. I don't think that's right. So we need to get some more
How is she
information.
superseding Cradle to Grave?
That was the opinion, it was, I think it was April 4th, she just put that opinion out, weighed in on it, it had to do with Eagle. And I think that one, I'm trying to remember what county that was out of, I just read that a few days ago. That opinion, are you familiar with the,
Not the recent one, because the opinion really hasn't changed in the last 50 years. It's been the same thing, because it's incumbent, similar to the water situation, it's incumbent on every new property owner to ask certain questions.
Right,
So if you're in the chain,
but they're also obligated to tell you too.
yeah.
But
there's disclosure?
In this situation, my question would be, what is the property zone? And depending on the zoning, what are the setbacks, because if it's a residential property, then there might be different setback requirements and different rules than if it's industrial
Well,
or commercial.
actually, the environmentalist for the county is Laura Ogar.
Mhm.
So there's probably merit a phone call to Laura Ogar and ask her just what that is, since we're working with her on other projects. I just wonder, because I've seen these piles get humongous. I've seen the whole thing come all the way out in the drive, and then all of a sudden, that pad of dirt there now is 4 times what it was on January 1st. I don't know about you, but there's still people that drink well water in this district, and if you don't know what's happening,
Not to mention that it's still technically classified as wetlands, yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't see no fragmites,
Yeah.
but
the back piece of it.
Yeah,
it is.
It's still wetlands there, so you're talking about any potential contamination, which we don't know. Any potential contamination there is going to go into the runoff, and it's gonna go right to the Colquhoun River, and it's gonna go right out to the bay, just like all the other contaminants that have developed over the years in farm fields, and with whatever other dumping is taking place. So if they're digging holes and putting stuff in it, we don't know what's being put in the hole. It's just now there's a hole, now the hole's covered over. We as a township should have some insight on what's actually happening there. If there's some kind of a site plan, I mean, even if they've just decided this is a creative way to make the driveway bigger, we should have some idea of exactly what they're doing.
I thought you were gonna tell me they built a building permit or something, because the size of the pad that's there, if they move that dirt all off the pad,
They haven't got
you
any
could build a
permits,
commercial
no.
building on that lot, it'd be big enough.
Yeah.
Because it'd be just behind the right of way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
They'd
no,
be
that's
just
fine.
behind, like the pines. They would actually be set back just like the pines is right now. And, you know,